hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Pocket with Joe. Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday. It's time for Pocket with Joe over here on YouTube. Now, smaller slate today. And we did have some games that really worked out in our favor yesterday. If you took the Edmonton Oilers team total, it was scary, right? 2-0 win for the Edmonton Oilers, but we were able to ride them under 2.5 goals. That coming in at great plus 152 money. We did get the Montreal Canadiens as well in that first period on that puck line for the great plus money, but they did let us down, allowing that game to go to overtime for the full game. So there was a couple of those player combos that did hit nicely. Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki seems like a moneymaker each and every single game out there on the ice, just parlaying those two for those player pop combos. But we're going to look at everything out there, see you guys starting to jump back, and let's get this going. Let's make some freaking money is for sure. So when we look at today's schedule, there's 4 games on deck. Now, I know you guys really want me to be able to include graphics here on the players so that you can see it as we're talking it out. I'm trying to incorporate it more. It's just really hard, you guys, and I'm doing the best that I can. Between the 4 games today, I was able to get graphics for the one game, the St. Louis Blues versus the Chicago Blackhawks. So we will put that up on screen. When I'm talking about these, what I do recommend is go to Daily Faceoff and look at those lineups so that you can understand where I'm going with those lines. I tried sharing my screen here. It doesn't always work out properly. It's a problem with StreamYards and Firefox and Chrome. For me, those firewalls keep coming up, and I just have a little bit of glitches. So we've got graphics for one of these games trying to help you guys out with seeing those. But if you do go to the Daily Faceoff, you will see those lineups, and you will see what I'm talking about out there. But I'm going to try to incorporate a little bit more. Long story short, I just need a producer behind the scenes of this show, and it would make life a little bit easier. But this is today's schedule, so let's jump straight into it. We're going to see 7 p.m. Eastern puck drop of 2 of these games, 9:30 p.m. Eastern puck drop for the other 2. So your first 2 games on deck are the Ottawa Senators versus the Buffalo Sabres, then the Florida Panthers versus the Detroit Red Wings, the Chicago Blackhawks versus the St. Louis Blues, and the Calgary Flames versus the Utah Mammoth. Now we do see Calgary rolling in here off a disappointing loss last night to the Vegas Golden Knights. They got up nice and strong. They were up 2-1, you guys. I was out for a girls' night, walked out of the restaurant, looked at the score, and realized that the Vegas Golden Knights did get the win. So disappointing to see that one play out that way. With the St. Louis Blues returning home after a road trip, they did face Calgary and Vancouver. Were able to get the win, but the last time in their home building, remember, they did lose 5-0 to the Minnesota Wild. And then we will see the Panthers taking on the Red Wings. The Panthers coming off that weird day where we did see the road teams getting the win. So the Panthers did lose to the Philadelphia Flyers. They're now taking on a Red Wings team that had the back-to-back versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. I almost said Blue Jays, you guys. Almost a slip there. And then the other game that we did see, we were able to the Senators versus the Sabres. The Sabres, the last game, or the first game kicking off, is the team that is yet to get a win. So we're going to go over each and every single one of these. Let's just remove that and then see your comments coming in here. Everyone should have money. Yeah, we made some money. Let's make some more freaking money. Happy Wednesday. Good to see you, the truth. Popping in here today. Sorry, my Slack is going off like crazy if you're hearing those noises coming from my computer. Yeah, let's make some freaking money. You guys below this show, please drop what you're liking out there on the ice. The algorithms are really important that you guys comment after the show as well as in the show. I really appreciate you guys for being here. Kelly asked yesterday where I find a lot of my trends, a lot of my props here for the trend props for hockey. It's hard. I'm not going to lie, you guys. I end up just Googling what St. Louis's record is versus the Ottawa Senators. I haven't found like a nice place in the NHL, like on the sites for the NHL trends, right? NHL isn't as, well, it's not football, right? So you can find every football trend. You can find all those pages with those stats out there. It's just really hard to find in the NHL. And to be reliable is the other question mark. You'll see sites posting something and it's completely off AI. Like, I'm sure if you search right now who the top players are on Calgary and looking at those top players who can get a goal tonight, I'm sure they're going to list Jonathan Huberdeau, right? They just don't. AI is fantastic, but for stuff like this where they're having those mistakes and people aren't double checking that Jonathan Huberdeau is or isn't in the lineup, right? So definitely always something to look at when you're going through things. I just Google each thing independently to look for those stats, to look for those trends. And I do think it is the best way to go when you are betting hockey. So let's jump in to these games, you guys. We're going to go over all of the odds, everything that you need to get into these games. We're going to kick it off with the Florida Panthers versus the Detroit Red Wings. Now, for me, this one does come down to the goaltending. Which goaltender is going to have that strength tonight? Now, the Florida Panthers are a minus 142 favorite. Detroit has looked great to start the season after that one hiccup. They're plus 118 back-to-back wins over the Toronto Maple Leafs, which, Toronto was ultimately pissed about. We got a total of 5.5. Now, the 5.5 is juiced to the over at minus 115, at the under minus 105. I'm going to stay off the total for the full game, but I do think a really strong way to take this is looking at the total for the first period. You guys know we love Florida to come out nice and strong in the first period, be able to get a bounce on a team and then find those weaknesses, get that goal, and then try to hold on to that lead. I think in this one, it's going to be a little bit harder. We look at Cam Talbot, and so far on the season, he has looked fantastic between the pipes. I couldn't believe that last game versus Toronto and what we saw out of him. I do think here, though, the defense needs to give him a little bit more support. In that last game versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, they allowed, 40 shots? It might have been more than 40. I stopped counting as soon as I saw that 40 number pop up. So they were allowing him to be absolutely hammered. And I do think the Florida Panthers, they play that defensive style of hockey, but they are able to get those shots. So I'm looking for the defense to really step up a little bit more at home here are the Red Wings and give that support to Cam Talbot. Now, looking at Bobrovsky, the defense in front of him is so solid, you guys. You put any goaltender right now, and I don't discredit Bobrovsky, but you put any goaltender in the situation where that defense is in front of you, the shots that are coming at his goal end up being weaker shots because that defense is they're not allowing those high danger shots out there. They're allowing the weaker ones to come through on Bobrovsky. And because of that, he's got fantastic numbers to start the season. He has won every single game he has hit the ice. Yes, Florida took the loss, but that was with backup goaltending. He's got a .925 save percentage of 1.67 goals against average. Remember, Bobrovsky's getting up there in age. So I hope this can continue. I hope the defense can continue to play solid in front of him. He wasn't in the net versus the Flyers. So the Florida Panthers are coming off the loss versus the Flyers on Monday. It was a 5-2 loss. They did win their first three games at home. So that was their first loss of the season. Now, Cam Talbot, his number is 2.11 goals against average and an average save percentage of .925. So which goaltender can we have more faith in here? Both of these teams are playing really well to start the season, and I do think whoever wins this, it's going to be a nice boost in the Atlantic Division race for one of these teams. We know the injuries here for the Florida Panthers. This team is averaging 3.25 goals per game and conceding 2.5. So 3.25 on average, conceding that 2.5. And when we look at the Detroit Red Wings, they are converting so nicely on that power play. One of the best power plays currently in the league. So Florida needs to stay out of the box. They are scoring an average of 3.3 goals per game, converting 25% of those power plays. And they are still, though, allowing those 3.3 goals. So they need to not take the penalties. They need to convert on the power play here and play solid. So I'm going to look at this one to start off slow. I think with both of these goaltenders coming in nice and strong, you look for both of them to be able to, in that first period, really limit, and the defenses to be able to limit those high danger shots. I'll take the first period under 1.5 goals. It's coming in at plus 102. And I know it is scary with the Florida Panthers. This is a Panthers team who loves to get up in this first period. I just don't see it happening where they score 2 goals, or if they score 1, that we see the Red Wings be able to answer back right away on Bobrovsky. Now, for the full game, I'll stay off the over 5.5 or the under 5.5. I just don't trust it either way. There's too many opportunities of the empty netter, as this is a battle within the Atlantic Division, and both of these teams are going to be absolutely bringing it. So when we're looking at some trends, we have seen Florida roll in to Detroit. They've won those last 6 games in Detroit. And then when we look at the Detroit Red Wings, they've been strong on that puck line as an underdog. They've been able to cover the puck line as an underdog in their last 5. So live betting opportunity if you want, you guys, because going into this game at plus 118, you can't look at the Red Wings at plus 1.5 at minus 220. If you think they're going to pull off the upset, then grab it now. But I do think Florida probably scores first in this game. We know how they like to play these games out. Now, couple of players that you want to look at when you look at the Red Wings. This team is led by Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, DeBrincat, Patrick Kane, and all of those. And Patrick Kane, actually, he's leading this team with, I believe he's got 4 points already on the season. So looking for him to come out strong. I'm looking at this game to really start off slow. So I'm not going to look at any props in this market, but I just want to make sure you guys know where I would go if I am. I do think I'll probably, though, as I say, I'm not going to. I still think Sam Reinhart and Sam Bennett parlayed for their points together is a solid way to go. But you've got Brad Marchand and Lundell. They're leading the team right now in scoring. Sam Reinhart has 2 goals in the last 2 games, so he was able to get both of those goals versus the Flyers. You've got Evan Rodriguez at plus 450 for a goal. He's really interesting. He scored a goal in 3 of the last 4 as a favorite versus the Red Wings, so he could be your playmaker. I'm going to try to give you those trend players. I'm not betting him, you guys, but if you like the trend players who do score against opponents, for me in this one, I just don't trust it because of Cam Talbot. But if you want to take a flyer on Evan Rodriguez, he's coming in at plus 450. I think Sam Reinhart and Sam Bennett are the players if you do want to take some player props here for the Florida Panthers. Sam Reinhart for the goal. He has 13 shots on 24 attempts thus far on the season. So if you want to look at his goal, I do think that goal will convert tonight. But I do like Bennett and Reinhart parlayed for those points tonight. So you look at Bennett, 4 shots on goal and 1 goal versus the Flyers. Alongside, he's on that line with Verhaeghe and Brad. So you've got him on such a solid line. And then you do have him on the top power play unit with Sam Reinhart, Ekblad, Seth Jones on that top power play unit with Sam Bennett. So Sam Bennett and Sam Reinhart parlayed for the point is where I would go. And I will just give you what we're getting for the value. I really like looking at those player point combos out there, you guys. So Sam Reinhart and Sam Bennett together are coming in at plus 121 for a point parlay. So Sam Reinhart, Sam Bennett, Florida Panthers, each for a point at plus 121 is where I'd go if you want to take player props. And that is what I'm liking. Irish King, good to see you here today. Raymond is out. Yeah, Raymond is out of this game. Sam Reinhart, yeah, I'd look at him for the points. You're going to have to parlay it, though, because it's minus 200 on its own. Do you think shots on goal for Reinhart would be good? Yeah, I do. You look at Sam Reinhart. Sam Reinhart had 13 shots, 24 attempts in 4 games this season. So he's going over the 2.5. Now, the 2.5 shots on goal, 3+ shots on goal for Sam Reinhart is coming in at minus 140. So it is juicy for Sam Reinhart for those shots on goal. If you do think he can get 4+ shots on goal here for the Florida Panthers, but this is the team that, that defense does lock down. But it's going to be hard tonight versus Cam Talbot. And I think Cam Talbot stands on his head. So I don't mind firing Sam Reinhart up to 4+ shots on goal. 4+ shots on goal for Sam Reinhart is going to get you that great plus money up plus 185. They're coming off a loss. These guys off a loss. And I'm looking at Sam Reinhart. Not last season, the season before. He was the go-to guy. He was the guy on the power play in those clutch situations was able to get it done. Last season he was and he wasn't. There's so much talent, there's so much depth. But I'm looking for Sam Reinhart to have another season that we saw 2 seasons ago, where it's like they're on the power play. Sam Reinhart's involved. He's getting that power play point. He is firing that freaking puck and making us some money. So 4+ shots on goal for Sam Reinhart at plus 185, I think is a nice solid way to go in this matchup. You hit a 3-piece anytime parlay. I love it. Vegas down 2-0. Dallas minus 1.5, 5 minutes in the game, and Montreal with 2 minutes left overtime. Carolina minus 2.5 pregame. Lost the New York Rangers and Pitt. Nicely done, Irish King. Getting straight on the money. Rangers and Pitt game was confusing. Yeah, they're still on that power play one. I like them on the power play one. I do think the conversion is going to come. Cam Talbert's been standing so tall, and that's where my concern comes with the scoring in this one. Is Cam Talbot has been fantastic between the pipes. So I do think when those goals come, it's going to be because of 1, a goalie mistake, or 2, the power play conversion. So I don't mind, even though they're on those separate lines, to look at Bennett and Reinhart for the power play points coming in together. So I just take for the straight up points. I wouldn't look at the power play points. It's really hard to hit them unless you just want to take one of the players for the power play point, because you look at the power play point, you're going to get great plus money alone. You don't have to parlay them to be able to get value there. So let's move on to the next game, you guys. We got the Ottawa Senators taking on the Buffalo Sabres. The winless Buffalo Sabres are a minus 110 pick 'em. This is a total of 5.5, minus 138 to the over. And this game, calling for straight chaos. Give me straight chaos out there on the ices. Both of these teams lack the defensive structure, and they pressure so strong offensively. We know the Ottawa Senators are without Brady Tkachuk. Without Brady Tkachuk, their captain on the ice, it hurt me, you guys. I had my NHL player point streak survivor kind of thing going. I had Brady Tkachuk. He went off with injuries, out with that wrist injury. And I think this is your game where you like player props, you like goals, you want to watch this one tonight. Both of these teams are struggling to keep the puck out of the back of the net, and I expect this to be a fast-paced, action-packed, plenty of scoring, plenty of second-chance scoring, as well as these defenses. I just don't trust either. Allmark, I feel for him. So you look at Bobrovsky, and you look at the support he gets from the defense. Allmark doesn't get that. You look at Alex Leon. He doesn't get that either from the Buffalo Sabres. We have seen the Senators lose their last 10 games while giving up a total, not 10 games, 2 games while giving up a total of 10 goals. They're sitting 1-2 on the season. The Buffalo Sabres yet to get that win. We saw Chicago get the win the other night, and getting that first win is so hard for these teams. Now, can Buffalo get it done? I'm really hoping the Buffalo Sabres can finally get it done. They've lost their last 7 games as an underdog. They are just struggling out there. The fan base has already given up. You've seen the videos of the fan base throwing the jerseys on the ice. They have been in a 14-year drought of making the playoffs, and the fan base is looking to turn things around. The ownership is looking to turn things around. These players want to turn things around. They have a lot of young, great talent out there, led this team by Tage Thompson. And I do think they have every ability to get things back on track this season. It's not over. It's a very long season, but it's really feeling like it's getting out of reach, right? So you got Allmark versus Alex Leon are your goaltenders here. I'm going to look at this one to be craziness. I've got the first period over 1.5 goals. It's coming in at minus 128, half unit on that. Half unit on both teams to score in the first period at plus 162. If you just don't take the over 1.5, expecting the Ottawa Senators to really step up in this one and hit Alex Leon hard, you can just take the over 1.5 if you don't think Buffalo will score. But I think Tage Thompson can get it done. We saw in that last game, we saw Tage Thompson get that second goal in that first period versus the Colorado Avalanche. We were live here. Tage Thompson at that point was plus 900 to score in the first period. So we know he comes out with that fire. I like both teams to score in the first period at plus 162. I do think this game easily goes over the 5.5. It's juicy though, minus 134. I think we're going to get those defensive lapses out of both of these teams. I think the offenses are going to press, and we're going to see that neutral zone be absolutely chaos as both of these teams look to drive up the ice. And I don't think you get the defensive pressure out there. I do think there's going to be penalties coming in, and I do think there's going to be a lot of offsides as these teams cross the blue line and, someone is offside. You look at the Senators, they are taking too many penalties already. They're averaging right around 6 minutes in the box. And without Brady Tkachuk, you're going to see some struggles out there for them, but I still think they can score. You've got Shane Pinto out there, and he's been fantastic. He scored 2 goals in each of the last 2 road games out here for the Ottawa Senators. And we do see these issues on the blue line for the Buffalo Sabres. They are really porous on the blue line. They're thin there, and they really do see those breakdowns in transition. So, especially with teams that are so heavy in transition like the Ottawa Senators. So we're going to see success out of both of them. Just give me the pure chaos here in this one. Yeah, Tage Thompson, anytime goal. You can also look at Tage Thompson for his shots on goal, over 4+ shots on goal, coming in right around even money. Like I said, there's going to be not a lot of defensive resistance in this one. I like the shots. I like, and the shots can be, kind of iffy because we look at the shots and then we see teams break down. Not teams break down. You see I'm trying to think ahead of what I'm going to be talking in just one second. You see those shots on goal not registering as shots, and they register as attempts because they, to us, look like shots, but they're not registering as those shots. But you look at Tage Thompson, 17 shots on 32 attempts through 3 games. He has been able to go 4+ shots on goal in each and every single one of the games thus far. He's a top shooter on that power play too. So, and then you look at Shane Pinto on the other side. I do think both of these teams are going to have success. So we will have a quick look at those players and who you want to look at in this one between the Ottawa Senators and the Buffalo Sabres. I wish this one I built graphics because I do think this is going to be a high-scoring game tonight. Tage Thompson for the point. You don't want to do that, but looking at Tage Thompson for the power play point, the Sens are spending too much time in the box. Tage Thompson for the power play point tonight, you guys, if you want to hit it, is a +210. He's going to be able to get things done. Now, if you just want to take him for the goal, like Irish King was pointing out, he's +120. So the goal at +120, the power play point at +210, I would put a half a unit on both of those. You've got Drake Batherson on the other side for the Ottawa Senators and Shane Pinto. I'm looking at Shane Pinto to be able to get that anytime goal. He's coming in at +275. He's been able to score out there on the road, and I do think it is a solid way to go. Now, we do have the goalie props, and it is not Omar in net. It is Levi coming in for the Ottawa Senators. He's got a number 24.5. I do think he goes under the 24.5 save shots on goal. The problem is it's juicy at -132. We don't have the player or the goalie props yet for the Buffalo Sabres as confirmation hasn't come in. And that's the hardest part of doing these shows, you guys. The late confirmation out there on the ice, but I expect this one to be a high-scoring battle out there for sure. Yeah, it's hard to trust some of these teams. It really is. And these are 2 teams where you've got so many different players, and with breakaways, you could see someone else score. But yeah, Kelly, I appreciate you too. I wish I had a better answer. If I do come across a site that is really great, there is one that I use for first periods that I haven't used this season as of yet. And let me just see if I can find it from my search history. Yeah, the NHL first period stat total page at best odds, I do find has some great numbers here. It really does allow you to be able to look at a whole bunch of things. This is my first time going here this year, and I'm just going to post it in the comments for anyone looking at that. I do find it being a great place to be able to go over a couple of things. Yeah, OddsShark is good. Just make sure you always double check some of those stats out there, you guys. I am seeing some mistakes on some of these books some of these pages as we kick off the season. So always double check. Yeah, he is confirmed. I've never seen him before either. This is going to be straight chaos. Give me both teams to score. Buffalo to get their first win. Who is with me? Put your hand up if you're willing to take the Buffalo Sabres in this game to be able to break this losing streak, make their fans happy. So Let me know if you're willing to go there, Kelly. I appreciate you. Third Eye Therapy, thank you for being here this morning. Bob and Talbot both confirmed for Florida and Detroit. Yeah. The Ottawa goalie is really good. That's why I'm staying away from the Buffalo props. Okay, well, we'll see what he's able to bring in this game. Buffalo absolutely has to get out of this hole. We're going to see what's going to happen. I do think we get some chaos out there on the ice. I think it's going to be the hottest game of the night. Now, the Calgary Flames versus the Utah Mammoth. That is where we're going. The Utah Mammoth coming in, not the Utah Hockey Club anymore this season. Now, looking at this game, I'm just going to pull up odds for you guys right now. All the odds I do use are over on FanDuel just because they're really standard odds for across the board out there. You can shop those lines, and I do encourage you guys to shop those lines. If you haven't checked out Odds Logic, go over and do so. I love using Odds Logic because it will show you all the different books, all the different lines. And even if you can't get the line on your books that you're wanting, that you're seeing on these other books, that leads you to a stay off, right? Like if you're not getting the price you want when it's somewhere else out there, you don't have to bet everything. And that's my best advice. But the Calgary Flames versus the Utah Mammoth. Calgary coming off a disappointing loss versus the Vegas Golden Knights last night. Now, out there on the road in Utah, they're plus 188 on the money line, minus 230 here for the Utah Mammoth, and this total sitting at 6.5. Now, the juice to this total is on the under 6.5 at minus 140. And if you're asking why, it's because of the defensive structure here of the Calgary Flames. Under Ryan Huska, this is a defense first squad, and we know Calgary has struggled to score. Now, the concern here is with that total is Cooley is coming in. This is the opening game for him of the season and his first game with the Calgary Flames. In 2023-2024, that season with the San Jose Sharks, we only saw him play 6 games. He allowed 25 goals on 192 shots on goal. So going 3-2 with an overtime loss and a 4.98 goals against average and an 870 save percentage. So that was with the Sharks. Calgary's defense in front of him is stronger, and they're going to be able to give him a lot more protection. We got Vermalka expected on the other side. So Calgary's ability to control the pace through their heavy forecheck really does remain the strength of this team. So look for Calgary with that heavy forecheck to slow down Utah. And they're going to have to absolutely bring their defense tonight because the Utah Mammoth are built on youth and speed. This is a team that loves to fly up and down the ice. They want to get off to hot starts. They want to get those goals. They want to overwhelm Calgary with their speed, but Calgary is going to look to slow them down. So they're able to turn things over in the defensive zone as well. And as soon as you see a player break out of that defensive zone and skate through that neutral, he is off and he is up and down that ice so fast. So if Calgary isn't able to control the pace of this game, Utah is going to get the win. Now, Utah's won the last 5 home games versus the Pacific. And we've also seen Utah last season completely sweep the Calgary Flames. So they were able to own them. And Calgary's team last year was a lot better. It had Jonathan Huberdeau in the lineup. We know we had some moving pieces as well, but I do think here in this one, Calgary defensively will keep things in check. I'm going to look at this one, not for a straight up winner, you guys. I'm just going to look at Utah's team total. Utah's team total sitting at 3.5. Now, I know a lot of you want to take it to the over, but I'm going to take it to the under. I could see a 3-2 win here for either of these teams. The under 5.5 is too highly juiced here for this game, coming in at minus 130. We're also seeing Utah being too highly juiced as a favorite that there's no way I would take them, even though Calgary is on the second night of a back-to-back. I like Utah's team total under 3.5 goals. It's coming in at minus 108. I do think the defensive structure, the veteran present here of the Calgary Flames will find a way to have an edge in this game. So under 3.5 goals for the Utah Mammoth in this one. The defensive structure here for Utah gives me a little bit of concern as well. They come out solid, but they don't play a full 60 minutes. They see those breakdowns, and Calgary's biggest breakdown is the defensive side of Utah has those breakdowns. Calgary's biggest breakdown is they can't finish out games. They get up to these leads or they get off to slow starts. A full 60 minutes out of both of these teams is absolutely necessary. Calgary's team total is 2.5. You're going to get plus money to the under. You're going to get minus 102 to the over. I'm going to stay off of that. We are seeing Nazem Kadri still leaned on heavy this season for the Calgary Flames. Sharakovich needs to step up with that depth play. We got Coronado playing solid as well on the other side for the Utah Mammoth. And I'm not going to do player props in this one. You got Clayton Keller, JJ Paterka has been nice and solid. He is a pass first man. His assist at plus 154, I do think is a sneaky good play for JJ Paterka to come out and get that assist. He's only racked up 4 shots on goal in the 3 games because he is passing it off, but he does have that in front of the net presence. He passes it off, and then he does get those second chance opportunities over the season. So someone to look at, but no props for me in this one. I do think you just look at this one as Utah's team total under 3.5 and hold your breath that Cooley doesn't come out and give up 3 goals in the first period, because it's either going to be an easy one or you're going to be absolutely destroyed straight out of the gate. I don't think there's any in between in this one and what you're doing. Oh, the Montreal Canadiens being able to get that win yesterday. You snagged the 5.5 at minus 130 last night. Yeah, nice look on the early lines for sure. No problems being late. We're going to do the recap at the end of the show and get there. The Ottawa goalie is really good, but that's why I'm staying off. Plus, Buffalo only has 2 goals this season. Yeah, it's hard, right? It's hard to back the Buffalo Sabres when they've done it, when they've done so bad. So I want everyone just to make money. Let's just make some freaking money. Cooley scores on Cooley tonight. Oh, Logan Cooley on the Cooley goaltender here for the Calgary Flames. That would be a pretty cool one. I would love to see it. I would take it. I would take it now you said it. Finally playing the backup. Yeah, Dustin Wolf needed a night off. Wolf is gassed out. Yeah, he fell apart in that third period for sure. First period puck line. My bad. Which one are you going with first period puck line, Charlie? Oh, you took Utah. First period puck line. I don't mind the first period puck line for Utah laying the half a goal in the first period. So Calgary has got off to some slow starts. Cooley is taking his first time between the pipes there for the Calgary Flames of this season. So Calgary plays Vegas Saturday again. It is a good sandwich spot. Vegas on deck, but they know the problem is with Calgary with those sandwich spots. Calgary can't take another loss, right? Calgary I think is looking at every single game this year as we have to win the opponent in front of us. Last year being eliminated from the playoffs because they tied with the St. Louis Blues, but the Blues had more regulation wins. Calgary is going to be battling this out. They're going to look to close out games within 60 so they're not left in that same situation. I do think Calgary probably takes another loss in Vegas. They need to get this win. This is why they're saving a Dustin Wolf in this one. So it definitely is a sandwich spot for sure. Good morning to you. Yeah, Buffalo is a donation team at this point. Yeah, they pretty much are. We made some freaking money yesterday. That is for sure. Tuck. Rasmus Dahlin, Rodriguez, DeBrincat, Gunther, and Shen points today. Ooh, let me know if you're parlaying them, what price you're getting for all of them all together. Let's move on to the last game. This game, I do have graphics. I promised you guys, and I know I see those comments below the videos. You guys want graphics so bad. My problem here is it's just so time consuming for me to get those graphics to get all the picks up. And today was a short slate. I didn't have any other shows before this, and it just it's hard. It's hard some days, you guys, but we're going to look at the Chicago Blackhawks versus the St. Louis Blues. And now this one, a 9:40 Eastern puck drop. We do see the Chicago Blackhawks rolling in at plus 198. The St. Louis Blues at minus 245 in their home building. Total is 5.5 minus 134 to the over. It's plus 110 to the under. Now, Spencer Knight expected here for the Chicago Blackhawks versus Jordan Binnington for the St. Louis Blues. I do think the Blues coming home off a quick road trip. This is going to be an interesting one to see how they respond off of that road trip. We're looking at the St. Louis Blues averaging 3 goals per game to start the season, 30.3 shots on goal. And they're converting on that power play 22.2% of the time. They're dominating the faceoffs, you guys, and this is where they're going to have the biggest edge in this game. They're winning 51.6% of the faceoffs, while the Chicago Blackhawks absolutely struggling to win those faceoffs, only winning 41.7%. The Blackhawks are averaging 2.5 goals per game, limited shots on goal as well. Their opponent is really able to lock them down, not allow those shots, only averaging 19.8 shots per game. That's worst overall in the league. And they're only converting on 15.4% of their power play opportunities. So this team offensively is completely struggling to start the season. They're spending too much time in the box as well. They got to stay out of the freaking penalty box here, because otherwise the St. Louis Blues are going to run all over them. 80% kill rate here for the Blues on their opponent's power play. So they're killing them off. They're converting at 22.2%. Special teams is going to come majorly into this game for Chicago. They're going to have to stand tall. The good thing about it is the St. Louis Blues are still allowing 3 goals per game. So Chicago has that ability to get some goals. They're allowing 26.3 shots on goal as well. So we're going to have to see them be able to really Chicago to take care of those opportunities that they do have out there on the ice. Chicago is allowing 2.75, but one good thing about Chicago is they have played in tight games, right? Their losses are coming by 1 goal thus far to start the season. They have lost their last 5 games versus the St. Louis Blues, though. So that is one of your trends pointing you in the direction of the St. Louis Blues. The problem here is they're too juicy on that money line. The St. Louis Blues, I don't like them on the puck line because of how Chicago has kept these games tight. Plus 1.5 on that puck line. We're seeing that juice drop. It was minus 130 earlier in the day. It's minus 124 now. I got it plus 1.5 for the Chicago Blackhawks at minus 130, at plus 1.5 at minus 124. I think it is a great way to go currently. If you want to think the Chicago Blackhawks are going to get the win here off the St. Louis Blues on that quick road trip, which they had success in both of their games. They were able to beat Calgary. They're able to beat Vancouver. Remember, their first home game here was the Minnesota Wild. They didn't show up. They didn't get off the freaking bus, you guys. They were still sitting on the benches by the time the Wild won that one at 5-0. So if you think they're going to have those struggles here again at home, I would sprinkle on the Chicago Blackhawks at plus 198. Now, the interesting thing is, well, the juice is coming down on plus 1.5 on the Chicago Blackhawks on that puck line. You're starting to see that money line come down, where you're not seeing an adjustment in that, or where you're seeing the juice drop on the other side. The money line is now plus 198, where it was earlier plus 210 on the day. So it's really interesting to see the lines moving that way. Now, when we look at the playmakers out here, we're going to bring up those graphics for you guys. And while I bring up those graphics, I can't. St. Louis absolutely owns them. Oh, they own them for sure. Blackhawks, I do think, could score first. Blackhawks on the money line. Oh, you're okay without graphics, Kelly. Thank you so much. So when we pull it up, St. Louis, let's look at St. Louis line combos first. Here are your St. Louis line combos. That top line for the St. Louis Blues is Jake Neighbors. Robert Thomas is where I would look at those two. They're key playmakers out here for the St. Louis Blues. We know Robert Thomas is able to net those goals. Jake Neighbors is as well. Those would be my 2 combos that I would look at on that top line. Dylan Holloway on the left wing of the second line, and Braden Shed, Jordan Kyrou. The depth on this second line is where I have the most faith in this team. Holloway, Shen, and Kyrou make a powerhouse team out there on the ice. Now, on that third line, someone making waves, the young rookie, Jimmy Snuggerug, coming in here. Now, he's finished last season with the St. Louis Blues. This kid is absolutely bringing it out on the ice. And I do think Snuggerug is someone you want to look at. He's a fun name to say as well. He scored his first multi-goal game of his career in that last game versus Vancouver. He was absolutely phenomenal in that game. And when we look at Jake Neighbors, what he was able to do on that road trip, He had 2 goals versus Calgary, 1 versus Vancouver. So netted 3 goals out there. So this team really did respond off of those losses to that loss to the Minnesota Wild at home. Now, when we look here at the power play units, the special team units, because I do think these special team units need to come out nice and strong. That power play unit for the top power play for the St. Louis Blues is Robert Thomas, Braden Shan, Pavel coming in, Snuggerud, and Cam Fowler. Now, Cam Fowler on the defensive side of things, you guys, he is a solid player to look at for his points anytime these guys go on the power play. And I do think they're going to have the opportunities because we are seeing Chicago take way too many penalty minutes in the box, but St. Louis is doing the same thing, you guys. And I do think we're going to see both of these teams have the opportunity. So that is where I'm looking on the power play. I would look here at Cam Fowler for the power play point. If you want kind of a long shot, you could look at him for the anytime point as well. But Snuggerud on this top line, remember when you look at Snuggerud though, he's all the way down here on the third line. And then you're looking at him on the top power play with Shan and Robert Thomas. Your second power play unit, again, so much strength on the second power play unit. Neighbors, Kyrou, and Dylan Holloway. You got Sutter as well and Justin here, but they have the ability to come out nice and strong. The depth on the power play is so solid for this team. When we look at the Chicago Blackhawks, we'll look first at their lineup. Colton Dach, I like this kid and I like his abilities. Now, he's on this top line with Connor Bedard. Everyone is going to be talking about Connor Bedard all day on your hockey shows. Now, Connor Bedard hasn't had a lot of success versus the St. Louis Blues. Just let me have one sip of coffee here, you guys. Okay, so looking at his success, 7 games versus the St. Louis Blues, he's only been able to get 3 points. I don't trust him tonight. I would look at the second line. This second line here, you guys, with Teravainen, Nazar, and Bertuzzi is a powerhouse second line that I do think is going to be able to convert here for the Chicago Blackhawks tonight. I'm looking at this line and I'm looking at some combos in this one. I do think the value you're getting on all 3 of these guys for their points, you don't even have to play the player point combo out here for them. So let's look at here's your defensive players here, you guys. I'm not looking at much defense out of Chicago, but here's your top power play unit. And I'm sorry if this is small. And that's another thing. Let me know if these graphics are even too small for you to see. And that's why I didn't build a whole ton of graphics today, because if they're too small, what is the point anyway? So on this top unit, you have Bertuzzi, Nazar, Teravainen, Connor Bedard, and Sam here. So the graphics are small for me on this side as well, you guys. So this is your top power play unit. This is a strong power play unit with Nazar and Teravainen. This is where I love parlaying those points today. And Bertuzzi. This is your full second line here on the top power play. This line of forwards has every ability to come out just firing in this one. Now, on that top line with Connor Bedard, you've got Colton Dach drop down here to the second power play unit. Ryan Donato, I believe he's on the third line out there for Chicago. Let's just double check. Yeah, he's on this third line on the left wing. So he has every ability on that second power play as well. I would look at these 2 guys. Nick Philangio, we know he brings that veteran presence to this team. So another solid player. But those are your lines, and hopefully that gives you a little bit more information for these games. And again, those are your lineups today, if I can get those off. But going back to your comments. So that is your lines. And so where am I going to go with those line combos? Well, let's pull up Chicago one more time, and then I'm going to see all of your questions. So Chicago's lines, again, we do see Nazar, Bertuzzi, and Teravainen on that power play unit together. And I love their ability to get those points. I'm going to look at them. Top power play, second line player point combo. Frank Nazar, your center of your second line. He is minus 108 for a point tonight. I love Frank Nazar for the point alone. Teravainen coming in here for a point tonight is minus 102. I love him for his point alone. Tyler Bertuzzi for his point tonight. Again, these guys are all on that top power play unit together. Is plus 116 for a point. I love it. scrap Connor Bedard. And, as I say that, he's going to get 3 goals and be solo goals unassisted. We can already hear the writing on the wall when you say scrap a player. That is their lead player out here, but I just don't believe in him versus St. Louis Blues with what we've seen before. So I will look at every single player here on that second line. If you want to parlay the 3 of them, all of them for a point coming in at plus 297, you guys. And that is where I'll go. Parlaying Teravainen, Nazar, and Bertuzzi just for a point coming in at plus 297. Now, when we look at the other side of things, those combos out there, I do think Holloway here on the left wing with Shen centering that left wing and the right wing Cairo coming out here. His shots on goal is where I want to go tonight. 3+ shots on goal coming in at plus 122. I do think you can fire up Dylan Holloway to 4+ shots on goal tonight. 4+ shots on goal for the left winger on the second line. Dylan Holloway's coming in at plus 420. I know some of you guys love that plus 420 and it's an auto bet. It's like my minus 111s. Auto bets for minus 111s for me when I see them sometimes for these players when I'm looking at them. But you look at Dylan Holloway, three games so far, 20 shots on goal, 20 attempts, 9 shots. So the shots haven't been directly on. If he can get them directly on versus the defense here of the Chicago Blackhawks, we will be able to see him be able to get that 4+ at that great plus money. 4+ shots on goal at plus 420. Do a ladder, 3+ at plus 122 for half a unit, 4+ at plus 420. If he gets 5 shots, well, we might have missed a plus 8 something payout, but I'd rather just have the 2. So I am looking for this to be a higher scoring game, but one in which the Chicago Blackhawks have every ability of covering that puck line. So plus 1.5, minus 124 as that juice continues to drop. Now, they got the monkey off their back, right? They were finally able to get that win versus the Buffalo Sabres. They have lost their last 5 versus the Blues. Kelly pointed out the Blues completely dominate them. It was a weird road trip, though. 2 games for St. Louis, Calgary, and Vancouver out there on the road. How will they respond at home after their first home game losing to the Minnesota Wild? It could be nasty. That is for sure. We'll see what they're able to bring in this game. We've seen Chicago cover the puck line in their last 8 games overall. They've lost their last 9 on the road, though, versus the Central Division. And these are 2 Central divisional rivals. So while Chicago's in a rebuilding, you guys, you got to look at the games that they have circled. They have circled this one here versus the St. Louis Blues. You know how much this means to them to beat a Central Division opponent. So definitely something to look at. Going to look at your guys' comments here, and then we'll get to the recap. No, not. Oh, for the line combos. Okay, let me share the line combos for you guys. It is a daily face-off. So here is the link to the St. Louis Blues line combos, you guys. I'm just throwing it in chat. What you can do from there is then you can go to the drop down and you can see the other teams from there. There's a lot of things that you can go into on daily face off. They really do have a lot of great stats over here. Last 10 game stats for these teams, as well as news for them. So stats on the season for each of these players. Like when we go to the St. Louis Blues stats on the season, I will actually, it's the same link there. We look at Robert Thomas, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 shots, 4 block shots. And that block shot market is something the books are just not giving us, but you can get all of that information over there. Daily Faceoff is pretty good at those goals because those goals are coming right from the system. So you're pretty good with that, with those stats over there. So definitely check out Daily Faceoff. That link is there. And yeah, RotoWire is pretty good for that as well, Kelly. I just find Daily Faceoff so much easier for me to change between teams. You got the Chicago Blackhawks to score the first goal, Kev. That is a nice way to go. Let me know what you're going to be getting with that for the Chicago Blackhawks to score first. And Nick Flangio out due to his daughter's heart surgery. I did not see that. I would love to see this team rally and be able to get it. Prayers to the Flangio family, and hopefully his daughter's heart surgery does go well today. So definitely something, add that family into your prayers tonight. So, okay. Other comments here. Point parlay coming at plus 2187. Okay, that point parlay for anyone that's just joining us. Let's see if I can find it up here. Maybe. Oh, there it is. Tuck, Darlene, Rodriguez, DeBrincat, Gunther, and Shen for a point today. It's a nice way to go, coming in at plus 2187. Great player point parlay for sure. Blues eat the Hawks for breakfast. They absolutely could. They absolutely could. Okay, you guys, let's get into and yeah, it's a very nice play. Let's get into the recap. We've already talked 50 minutes on 4 games, you guys. I swear I don't know how to make this show shorter. I'm trying for you guys. For anyone just joining for the recap, I appreciate you guys joining for the recap. Those bookmarks will be below this show each and every single day. So we're at the 49-minute mark, you guys. The Florida Panthers versus the Detroit Red Wings comes down to the goalies for me. Which team makes those mistakes, allows their opponent to go on the power play? Which goaltender gets a better support from their defense? Which goaltender makes some mistakes out there? I'm going to look at this first period to stay under 1.5 goals. That's coming in at plus 102. It's going to be scary. Hold your breath in this first period. Maybe don't even watch it because we know those shots will be firing. If you really want a player combo here, Sam Bennett, Sam Reinhart, on the same power play unit together, not the same line for their points tonight, is where I would look. I would also look at Sam Reinhart for those shots on goal. We looked at those fired up numbers. So go back to that part of the show if you're looking for firing up his shots on goal and those odds. The Ottawa Senators versus the Buffalo Sabres. Could Buffalo get their first home win here? They absolutely could, but this team has been struggling so much. It's scary to be able to trust them. I'm going to look at just complete chaos in this game. High scoring, neither of these teams being able to play a lot of defense. The puck is finding the back of the net. Give me the first period over 1.5 goals at minus 128. Give me both teams to score in the first period at plus 162, a half a unit on each of those for me. I do believe this game goes over the total of 5.5. It's coming in at minus 134. I would look at Tage Thompson for 4+ shots on goal. He has every ability to get it done. Shane Pinto on the other side for the Ottawa Senators. I would look at him to continue his strength for the anytime goal. The Calgary Flames versus the Utah Mammoth. Calgary needs to bring their defense in hard tonight off of that loss to the Vegas Golden Knights. And yes, you guys pointed out a sandwich game here for the Vegas Golden Knights. Calgary can't take another loss. I'm going to look at Utah's team total under 3.5, minus 108. Win or lose here for Utah. I think they score 3 goals. 3-2 style game. I do believe this one stays under that total. I worry about the empty netter, though, and that is why I stay off the full game to the under. Could it be Calgary who gets 3 goals in Utah, just 2? Absolutely. Could Calgary get the win? The price tag you're getting on Calgary is great. I won't be betting it. I'll just take Utah under 3.5. Nazem Kadri, Sharakovich need to step up strong here for the Calgary Flames. Bring that forward presence. Matt Coronado has been solid. On the other side, Clayton Keller, JJ Peterka. JJ Peterka is a nice assist prop tonight. He's coming in at plus 154. Again, I'm expecting this game to be lower scoring defensive led, so I'll stay off the props, but we're not staying off the props. We're not staying off a high scoring game here between Chicago and St. Louis. Give me complete chaos out here in this game. I think we're going to see those goals. The Chicago Blackhawks plus 1.5 on that puck line. Juice is coming down, so I love it. I'm going to sprinkle on the money line. I know the St. Louis Blues have dominated them, but I do think this could be an upset. We look at the Chicago Blackhawks. They're perfect 4-0 on that puck line this season at plus 1.5 at minus 124. I think it is great. We got St. Louis returning from a very nice, successful road trip. The only concern here with Chicago on that money line, and that's why I say it's just like a light sprinkle coffee money, is because how the St. Louis Blues started the season. If the St. Louis Blues would have won that first game at home versus the Minnesota Wild and then went 1-1 even on the road, still sitting in a 2-1 kind of record, I would have more faith in Chicago to be able to pull off an upset. But we saw the St. Louis Blues lose that first game. So losing, taking a road trip, getting that momentum coming back in, It's a hard situation for Chicago to be able to get the win. I think they just keep it tight here. Both of these teams need to stay out of the box if they want to keep it low scoring. I just don't see it happening. And I do think St. Louis will have success. Again, those line combos out there for the Chicago Blackhawks, I absolutely love. Frank Nazar for a point at -108. Tara Vinen for a point at -102. Tyler Bertuzzi for a point at +116. All on that second line and top power play unit for that combo parlay together at +297. Again, I'm staying off Bedard because he hasn't had that much success versus the St. Louis Blues. They know how to contain him, take away his high danger shots. Now, Dylan Holloway on the other side here for the St. Louis Blues, I think is your playmaker of the night. 3+ shots on goal at +122. Oetting firing up his numbers to 4+ at +420. I think he's in for a big day. Jake Neighbors and Snuggerug have been solid out there on this road trip, and I look for that to continue tonight. So high scoring game, but one where we see one of these teams win 4-3. So give me the Chicago Blackhawks +1.5. Don't make it shorter. You can listen all day. Well, I am so glad that you can sit here and listen to this all day long. A lot of people asking me to really condense it. I guess if you're looking for a more condensed version of any of my stuff out there, always stay tuned for my Cup of Joe. I try to, that always stays under 3 minutes. I'm going to get the recap videos posted separately. I just got to do a couple things with my StreamYards. It is full, so it's not recording the shows. It's just posting it live. So I'll get a couple of those things cleaned up. We will get those videos coming out in their own little segment. So people who want that, it still took 5 minutes to go over everything I liked out there on the board, which is just crazy. So I don't know how people do so quick. I just got way too much to say, and I guess I probably drive a lot of people crazy because of that. Shane Pinto for the point at +100. I do think Shane Pinto can get on the board tonight. Jake Neighbors for the point, and thank you. You guys are absolutely the best. So let's build a long shot parlay. Why not, you guys? It's always fun to build a long shot parlay. As I just pulled up the NFL slate, let me know what you're liking between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals on Thursday Night Football. You know we're going to be talking it tomorrow about. Let's jump into these games. Now, I'm going to stay off, okay? I'm going to stay off the Florida Panthers and the Detroit Red Wings, the Calgary Flames, and the Utah Mammoth for this player point parlay. We're going to take a couple of people from the other two games. Okay, so let's build it. Let's see where we go. I got to clear a couple of things off here that I wanted to bet. So let me just take a screenshot in my head of these things that I want to make sure I've got, which was Sam Reinhart for a point and 4+ shots on goal. That's actually a nice one. Sam Reinhart for 1 point and 4 shots on goal. Oh, and Sam Bennett for a point. It's coming in at almost 4-1 to your money. So let's clear that off. I remember that. Okay, the rest of this can go. That was us just clicking here. The Ottawa Senators and the Buffalo Sabres. Who are we going to take for the points? We're going to build the Madden long shot. You know we got to throw Tags Thompson in there. He is such a stud out there for the Buffalo Sabres. He's going to be getting things going tonight. Shane Pinto at +104. We got to throw him in for the Ottawa Senators. You guys have talked about him. I talked about him. He's been a stud on the road. I do think we make this a little bit more interesting. So let's look at the lineups here for the Ottawa Senators. Let's see if I can share my page nicely here, you guys. See if I can get this done here on a Thursday morning. So the problem is the ads start coming up and it just gets in our way. So let's share this. Okay, share screen. We're going to get there. Here's the line combinations, you guys. Okay, so see, these ads pop up, and that's what I hate. When we're looking at the Ottawa Senators, the line combinations, you got to love this second line. I'm loving the second lines today, you guys, of these teams. Now, you do have Tim Struzal up here. Have a lot of faith in him for the Ottawa Senators. You have Zetterlund here, but I love this. David Perrin, Dylan Kozin, and Drake Batherson. You've also got Shane Pinto down here. So when we're looking to see, there comes the ads. If you want to buy a car, we can do that. Obviously, I've been looking at cars as of late. But when you are looking at these line combos, I would look at the second line here. Looking at that power play, you've got Cousins, Jake Sanderson, Drake Batherson. and Tim Struzel here. They're powerhouse on this. I do think we're going to see the conversions on the power play. So let's look at those players out there. Maybe, okay, let's look at Shane Pinto. So we're already taking Shane Pinto. So when we look at Shane Pinto out there, let me just find my screen. Shane Pinto is going to come in here on that second power play with David Perrin. Okay, so he's on that second power play. These lines, Pinto is coming in on this third line. So I don't really love putting anyone together with him in this long shot parlay. Let's just stick to Perrin. So we're going to stop sharing that. We're going to get back to here. Let's continue to build this long shot parlay. So far we got Tage Thompson and Shane Pinto. Let's look at the second game, the last game that we're going to throw into this one. Right now it's plus 177 for Tage Thompson and Shane Pinto for a point. Let's look at the St. Louis Blues versus the Chicago Blackhawks. You know how much faith I have in Nazar. I think Nazar is going to come out nice and solid for the Chicago Blackhawks. I will throw him in. We're going to throw Snuggerug in for the St. Louis Blues. He's coming in at minus 125. If you just take Nazar and Snuggerug at plus 220, yeah, opposite teams here, but I'm looking for one player from each team to be impactful. So we've got our four-legger, you guys. We have Tage Thompson from the Buffalo Sabres, Shane Pinto from the Ottawa Senators, Frank Nazar from the Chicago Blackhawks, and Jimmy Snuggerug from the St. Louis Blues, all for a point today, coming in at plus $7.90. So $10 return, $79. If you want to go even deeper on this parlay, add two more legs here from this late game. I would add Teravainen here at plus 100. And then for the St. Louis Blues, let's do Holloway. Holloway to come in nice and strong. So now it's coming in at plus 2066. So $10 to win, $206. Again, that's Tage Thompson from the Buffalo Sabres, Shane Pinto from the Ottawa Senators, and then Frank Nazar from the Chicago Blackhawks, and Teravainen from the Chicago Blackhawks, Jimmy Snuggerug from the St. Louis Blues, and Dylan Holloway from the St. Louis Blues, coming in at plus 2066, you guys. That is where I'm going to go. No, I'm going to stay off Reinhart and Bennett. I did Reinhart and Bennett separately in that game, but I fear in that game that's going to come down to goaltending. Cam Talbot has been nice and solid. I'm afraid that if I throw them into a long shot parlay here, we're going to see one of them not cash for us. I do like Jake Neighbors for a point. I have no problem if you're going to throw that in. Let me know which legs of this long shot parlay that you're going to take for the point. If you're going to do a combination of them, if you're going to take one of these guys for a go, let me know what you're liking out there. You guys, I want to hear your long shot parlays. This is the Madden long shot parlay. Let's hear your parlays out there. So one more time, the long shot plus 2066 for the parlay. We've got 6 legs. We've got Tage Thompson from the Buffalo Sabres. We got Shane Pinto from the Ottawa Senators, Frank Nazar from the Chicago Blackhawks, Teravainen from the Chicago Blackhawks, Jimmy Snuggerug from the St. Louis Blues, and Dylan Holloway from the St. Louis Blues, all for 1 point. I think it's a solid way to go. You guys, thank you so much for joining me for the last hour and 2 minutes on 4 games. Wow. We talk too much here, you guys. All the best in all of your bets. Let's make some freaking money until tomorrow, where the slate is loaded. If we stay at this pace, it'll be a 4-hour show. So we're going to condense it. You guys, all the best in all of your bets. I will see you right here at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Stay hot. Let's make some freaking money.